Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Corner Balance. So I'm inside my garage right now, just sort of, detailing the Lotus right now. And obviously you guys know about the Lotus. You probably have seen the AE86, but there's one vehicle that sort of lurks in the background of my previous videos. And some of you guys may have noticed it, but it's this vehicle right here, this big, giant SUV. This is my Mercedes Benz G-WAGON. So obviously I'd never really talk about it. It's been sort of hidden from plain sight, but I want to actually dedicate this video to it because I actually put equal amounts of work in this G-WAGON as I have done with all my other vehicles. So I'm going to basically show you guys what I've done, show you what it's all about. And I also need to do this while I still can because I actually just sold it too as well. Let me go ahead and pull this thing out. Might be better to do this outside.
My G-Wagon soldier boy, watch me crank it. Soldier 60 pointer dog, collar chain going crazy. Too much drip, you gotta pay me. Give me that. Came outside today, water on water on water.
Okay, to start with the basics, this is a 2000 Mercedes Benz G500, and the difference is for the Canny, Mercedes Benz actually did not first import these until 2002. So what that means is this is pre-Mercedes Benz USA, and in fact, Europa International, based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, they were the ones who were responsible for importing these in a very select number before 2002, of course. So I think overall, in their total span of import, since I think the 1980s or whatever until 2002, they've only imported about 500 G-Wagons in total. So they're extremely rare to find a Europa G-Wagon. And the difference is actually more than just for example, Mercedes-Benz imported versus Europa. This is actually a generationally completely different vehicle. So you'll notice inside the interior is completely different than what you see from the current day Mercedes-Benz G500s. So this interior design, in my opinion, is completely superior. It's quintessential Mercedes-Benz. It also has thicker leather throughout. This leather is definitely way more beefy than the leather that you get today. And another specific difference with this generation of Europa G500s is you get a manual transfer case, unlike the Mercedes-Benz USA G-Wagons, which instead you just get a button. And for the headliner, you get this nice light gray, more military style canvas headliner. And another important difference with this generation of G-Wagons is actually pre-CAN bus. So what that means is you don't have computers littered everywhere controlling all the electronics. Instead, you have the more basic rudimentary relays and switches. So it's a far more analog experience. And that makes maintaining the vehicle far easier, it makes diagnosing issues easier as well. And that's what really gravitates people towards these Europa G-Wagons, is for that pre-CAN bus, more analog distinction. And of course, for most modern day Mercedes to begin with, you have to go to the dealership to get them maintained and fixed, but not the case with this one. And the last thing that I'll talk about that makes the Europa G500s that much more special is because of their low production numbers. Again, they only import about 500 of these in total over a span of almost 2 decades. And unlike today, now that it's entered the US market, production numbers are now in the thousands. But back then, they were only making handfuls of these every single year. So anyway, let me go ahead and do a quick walk around and show you some of the upgrades that I've done to this vehicle. And I love the signature vault-like door feel when you close it and open it. That is very, very G-Wagon-esque. So anyway, starting with the front, I did do a small facelift, but I did not do the G63 style AMG facelift that most people do with G-Wagons. This is actually a G550 sport bumper, which is a bit more rare, and I think looks a lot cleaner. And most importantly, the whole stylistic goal with the aesthetic for the exterior is to follow the OEM Professional Series G-Wagons. So same thing, the roof rack, everything else. So that's why I specifically chose the G550 sport bumper, because that's also the one that comes on those Professional Series. But I did go with a G63 AMG grille in the front because I kind of liked its unique look. But everything else is pretty much standard. So I do have the LED style headlight covers. These headlights themselves, they're from Nolden, they're LED. And then of course, to install this G550 bumper, I had to do some modifications and fabrication work on the bracketry behind there to hold up the bumper itself and the central mounted oil cooler. And then for the front turn signals, I installed LED bulbs inside, changed out the lenses to amber lenses, and installed this cover on top of it. Same thing for the headlight cover. I installed this cover here as well. This front marker is LED and OEM, and also amber. Same thing with this one over here. And now for the wheels, I have G55 AMG 18-inch wheels, which I then refinished in this nice satin black powder coat. Wrapped around them are BF Goodrich KO2s in a 285/65/18, which is basically 33s. And also, I have Fox Performance 2.0 shocks front and rear with external reservoirs. And while I was installing the shocks, I also changed out the springs as well to kind of refresh them to new OEM spec G500 springs as well. And I did a ton of maintenance work on this G-Wagon as well. Like for example, changing out the rotors and pads, the new OEM ones from the dealer. And the brake lines in this G-Wagon are all stainless steel. Same thing with the lockers. The locker lines are also changed out to stainless steel braided lines as well. I have mud flaps installed front and rear. And the front ones are actually pretty rare. You normally don't see these on G-Wagons. I think this one actually came from like a Canadian Army G or something like that. But of course, this is what the rear ones look like here. These are far more common. And now just kind of moving along to the side, I also have some custom exhaust work done to get kind of the dual tip look and just get the exhaust note a little bit louder. I was kind of thinking about turning it back to stock to kind of take away some of the flash, but it does sound good. It's not overly loud. You can see underneath, it's all custom. Fully stainless steel as well, it goes all the way to the other side. You can also see the biggest project that was done on this thing was installing this thing here. This is a pure OEM mirror, and to do it correctly, you have to completely change out the base of how it attaches to the door. So what we had to do was we had to take the door apart, strip it completely down, split it apart from the back side, and then weld onto the back side the proper brackets that fit this mount for the mirror, and then basically smooth everything out and completely repaint the doors, both the front left door and the right door as well. It was definitely a huge job, obviously, with that much work involved, but that's the only way to install these mirrors properly, and they definitely look amazing in my opinion. Tons of view out the back now. The thing's super tall, so great for towing if you ever do that. And that all fits in line again with the professional look that I was aspiring to go for with this G-Wagon, including the big one at the top. This is a OEM Litec professional roof rack that I think cost me a small fortune to get. If we check out the top over here, you can kind of see the plates as well. So yeah, this thing was not cheap at all, but did also come with this Litec rear ladder to kind of complete that look. Now moving to the back side, I updated the tail lights as well with OEM tail lights, LED bulbs inside. I have LED bulbs inside here, LED bulbs for the license plate as well. And now for this tire carrier, I actually bought a completely different stainless steel band that goes around it because the stock one that came with it had a small kink in it. So I bought a different one and then had it completely repolished to get it all nice and clean. This emblem is also changed as well. This is a newer style emblem. Repainted the bumper as well because the stock bumper was actually a flat plastic color. So now it's all gloss and paint matched. Installed these nice skid things here. So everything I bought, I tried to buy OEM. And that also includes these Fender Flares, which are G55 AMG flares. Are far wider than the stock G500 ones, as you can kind of see from this angle. This rear marker is LED and OEM. This tow hook here is from Oris. It's pretty hard to find these days, and it's endearingly known as the Donkey Dong tow hook. Let's take a look inside the back. I have jump seats installed, which is awesome. Makes it a 7-seater. I have a G-Raid cargo mat. I have some AMG door sills because the stock ones are a little bit worn. I had this dog net, also OEM, overpriced, but OEM installed as well. And to do that, I had to get some mounting bolts as well to the back side of this. So this could attach up here. Now let me see if I can get underneath and kind of show you what the undercarriage looks like. So starting in the front, I have this nice G-Raid skid plate. So there's a look at the front axle. I bought new linkages as well because the bushings on them were worn previously, so I just decided to buy the whole damn links to replace that. But super beefy reticulating ball style front axle. Solid front axle, of course, unlike the new modern W464 G-Wagons, which are now independent front suspension, and that's super lame because now they're catering to the soccer moms of Beverly Hills. But this is still quintessential and original to the G-Wagon DNA. I have the entire undercarriage completely steam cleaned as well. You can kind of see underneath here is very, very, very clean. That is the transfer case right there. You can kind of see the custom exhaust over here. Going to the back, you can kind of see the rear axle over there. Let me see if I can get to the back side. Okay, here it is from the back. The fuel tank itself is plastic, which is cool. No rust issues with that. Again, you have a super beefy solid axle in the back as well. Triple locker setup. Take a look at the mounting points there. Absolutely no rust on this vehicle whatsoever, even though it is now 20 years old, which is surprising. So another interesting fact about this particular G-Wagon that I have is, again, because these Europas were imported in such low quantities, they were very, 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 very expensive back in the day, right? Before Mercedes-Benz actually officially started importing them. These things, I did the calculation, were about $250,000 in today's money. And that meant only really, really big ballers could afford these, or celebrities. And that also meant a particular Northern California celebrity previously owned this vehicle. And that person was none other than Robin Williams. Here's a look at the back seats. Here's a look at the front cabin area. These armrests, they go up and down. Cup holder installed here on the side. And the G500 does come with a V8. It's called the N113. It's a 5-liter. It's found in a lot of other Mercedes vehicles, like for example AMG C classes and all that stuff. So that means getting parts for it is super easy. It's also very reliable. And on top of that, it also sounds great too. And this is the view over the hood, and you get this nice boxy hood and the boxy fenders. Everything's all squared off. Definitely feels like a tank. I've never driven another vehicle that feels as sturdy as this one. Now, if we turn on the lights, take a look at what they look like. Alright, that's it. That's a quick walk around this vehicle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm pretty bummed to see this thing go, but I never really drive it. And the gas mileage on this thing is horrendous, because of course, if you look at it, it's as aerodynamic as a giant brick. So I think I get like single-digit MPGs with it. So in a few more days, this thing should be going on a transporter and headed on its way to Texas, to its new home. If you guys haven't really been looking at G-Wagons that much, definitely take a closer look. They're very unique vehicles, super sturdy, they drive awesome. They're just great things to have, I think, especially from a 4x4 standpoint. I know everybody's raging about 4Runners and stuff like that and Jeeps, but definitely, I think the G-Wagon still takes the crown. So anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.